want to talk about another dark secret that I have that's not really that dark, but it's part of revealing everything that I did wrong and all my dark secrets and owning up to it and putting it out for the world to see. And now this thing that I did, it isn't as extreme as the other thing that I said, a few videos ago, but I still think that it is important to say because I think this is one of the first things that I've ever did wrong that I can remember, which was stealing the first book I ever read. Now, when I say that, I don't mean that literally the first book that I read I stole, but like a book that I read on my own without my mom reading to me, or my mom getting me to read it, or the teacher getting it to get me to read it, or being forced on me. Right? This was a book that I went out, and yes, I probably read a little bit of here and there of other books, but I think this is the first book that I actually finished on my own, but I ended up stealing it. And so I find it, as I want to talk about having a love for, or trying to have a love for reading and trying to get back into reading so that people can start reading the Bible again. I feel like one of the things that can turn people off from reading the Bible is just a hate for reading. And I don't think that is the Bible's fault. I would actually blame the school system, and I have a lot of problems that with the school system, and that I want to talk about in a later video. But like I said, I'll kind of briefly mention it, but the school system forces us to read boring, long, dragging, tedious, books, and then they try to, make us overanalyze it to the point where it's like not even entertainment, or it's not even enjoyable, because you're not even reading to enjoy, you're reading to take a test. And so, that whole thing, it can turn a lot of people off from reading, and there's other things that turn people off from reading, and I'll go into it. But the book that I ended up stealing, that I wanted to read, and I was a huge fan of this book series because, it was a huge trend, but seeing other people read them, and, other people had, collect, and it was like, collection kind of thing, collect all these Diary of a Wimpy Kid books. And you had, Diary of a Wimpy Kid was just one of many different collection of books. You had the Magic Tree House, and you had the other diary books that I can't remember, but it's like, I think it was a female, but there was these huge book trends that came out, and we all wanted to collect them as a kid and stuff like that, and read them. But for me, I think my mom didn't have much money and stuff to be able to get me the book, and I really wanted it, and I saw someone else with it, and he had left it out, and I think he went to go use the restroom, and no one was looking, and I took it and put it in my backpack. And I think I did feel bad at the moment for doing that. In the moment when I did that, or maybe not right when I did it, but afterwards I did feel bad, I think, for stealing it. But I never owned up to it, and I never went to the kid that I stole it from and apologized. And I actually think I ended up making that same kid cry later on for a different, for something that happened completely different from the book, because I had stole it and he didn't know about it, and I've never really brought it up again. And this is something that I had to kind of remember as I'm trying to remember everything I did wrong in my life, and trying to admit to it. This is something that I remember doing, but I never talked to Jesus about it. I never tried to apologize to the person that I stole from, or admitted it to, I don't think, anybody. And it's just a secret that I kept to myself. And what book, first of all, which of the Diary of a Wimpy Kid books did I steal? Now, I find this book interesting because my favorite color is purple. And the book title, for what I'm talking about, it just matches perfectly. And that is Diary of a Wimpy Kid, The Ugly Truth. And not that I am proud for stealing it, no. I do still feel bad. And I don't even remember the kid's name. Maybe it was his name, I don't even know, Ryan, Brian, or whatever. But um, I still feel bad. I don't even think that was his name. I just really randomly said some names. But I still feel bad for stealing that book. For just remembering it, and the fact that I never tried to admit to it back then, never talked to Jesus about it. I mean, I did now recently, but I never tried to make it right and try to apologize to that kid. And so it's just like, I find it interesting that I wanted to read so badly that I ended up stealing a book. And, that just, that's just admitting our nature and our flaws and our, our sinful nature. But, and then the book that I ended up stealing is called Diary of a Wimpy Kid, The Ugly Truth, and purple ended up becoming my favorite color. I find that highly coincidental. And I wanted to make a video talking about what I did wrong. Like the first thing that I remember doing wrong, which is stealing the first book I ever read of my own. And I don't know if this is going to be relatable to anybody, but this is this is me trying to inspire other people to admit their wrongdoings and admit everything that they did wrong. Because yes, I think we should talk to Jesus about it, and I think we should talk to the people in our lives about it. Like the people that we've done wrong to, and I try to ask them for forgiveness and apologize to them, and then also the people that done us wrong and try to offer them forgiveness for the wrong that they've done us. And this is just part of becoming a better human being and trying to work on self-love and getting closer to Jesus. But I think we are all capable of stealing. We're all capable of any kind of sin. And we have to admit that to ourselves, because I don't want to view myself as a thief, because I haven't stole that many things. Now, I did DoorDash and I stole DoorDash orders. And I've stolen money before, I'm sure. I've stolen money from my mother. And I don't think I've told you yet. Yeah, I probably should. I do need to. I don't know how she would feel about it, years later, saying, hey, remember I was a kid, I took money out of your purse. But it's just about telling the truth and not holding those dark secrets inside and letting it build up and build up and build up, and it just causing us more suffering that we don't need. And so, like I said, I am not perfect. I've done terrible things, but I'm now trying to be aware of it and trying to right all the wrong that I've done, but also going forward trying not to do any more wrong and just do right. And now that is going to be hard, and it's going to be hard for any human being. But but in order for you to do that, you have to look at your own life and look at your own actions and look at the people that you've treated in your life, and to say, hey, I don't want to hurt anybody anymore that I care about. And I also don't want to hold any grudges or resentment towards anybody that's hurt me, because life is short and you don't know how long you have with these people. And to just be angry and hold all that pain inside, it just, I don't know, I don't know, I don't want to do that anymore. And I don't think anybody really wants to do it, but we have to work on building the courage to, like I said, talk to Jesus about it, talk to the people around us about it, and then eventually, this is something I'm still working on, but eventually talk to the world about it. Now, how do we do that? I was trying to think about it, because now, we have this program in society, especially in America, it's pretty much everywhere in the world, called therapy and psychology and all that stuff, where you pay, I think it's for rich people, honestly, but where you pay a lot of money so that you can get things off your chest. When if you could get a trusted friend, or if you could go to a pastor and make a confession, you wouldn't have to do that. But I think the reason why we have therapists that are making money off of people's mental health, and I've also made a video talking about this in the past a few years ago, why mental health shouldn't be profitable, because I don't think that's right to make money off of people who have mental problems. It just don't seem right to me. And so, like I said, you could go to a pastor and make a confession for free, or you can go to a trusted friend and talk to him about it and about your problems and what you've done. But a lot of us don't have a trusted friend, and a lot of us don't have the courage to go to church and talk to a pastor, because that means talking to Jesus and trying to get closer to Jesus. And just going to a pastor and using him as a therapist, that I think that can be wrong. But like I said, I think the first step is talking to Jesus about it, just to help relieve yourself so that you can talk to the people around you about it and build the courage to do that. And then also, once you talk to the people around you about it, talk to the world about it. Now, like the pastor, making a confession to the pastor, but also taking it to the next step is posting a video, especially in modern technology, or in the modern world with our modern technology. We could post a video talking about our dark secrets, talking about our problems and what's going on in our life and what we've done on YouTube for free. Nobody's charging you, but it takes you to be courageous to do that. It takes you to take the risk of being embarrassed, being judged, being made fun of, and being able to handle that. And it will make you stronger. Because everyone's going to have not everyone, but a lot of people is going to have an opinion. And for us to shrug it off and to defend ourselves and to not let their opinions dictate our happiness. Now, I can understand how other people's opinions can tear down people's mental health, especially if you have a lot of people saying, I hate you, and just negative things about you. Especially if you have people around you sharing nasty opinions that might even be true about you, towards you. That can make you upset, that can make you depressed, that can make you not like yourself when other people around you don't like you. And so, but I wouldn't say, though, try to be a people pleaser. I would just say, try to work on self-love and building yourself up. Because if the people around you only have nasty opinions to say about you, and they don't have anything good to say about you, then they're not really your friends. Your friends will tell you things that you're doing wrong and say, hey, you haven't showered in a week and you kind of smell. And they're like, hey man, you should probably, take a shower and take care of your hygiene. A friend would do that. But also a friend would say, hey man, I noticed that, you've been taking care of your diet and you've been really healthy and stuff like that. I respect you for staying disciplined on your diet, man. Like, because not everyone's perfect with their diet. And, a friend saying, encouraging you, on a healthy diet and supporting you and saying, I respect you for that, that's part of being a friend, is calling out when you're messing up, but also defending you and congratulating you when you're doing great. Now, those are the people that you need to surround yourself with. You don't want people that are just constantly glazing you and telling you good things about yourself, because you don't want to hear that, because it can make you blind from the things that aren't good about you, the things that you're doing wrong, things that you probably need to hear, the ugly truth. And so, yeah, I think that's what we need to work on, is sharing the ugly truth, but also sharing the beautiful truth too. Sharing both of them, and not being too focused on the positive things and the beauty of things and just glazing, but also not being too, like I said, not having too many nasty opinions and just trying to be negative all the time and just try to tear people down. You need to have a mix of both. I think, in my eyes, if you want to be a decent friend, to me, tell me things that you don't like about me, but also tell me things that you do like about me. And I want to do the same for you. And that's something I still need to work on. I have friends at my old job that I have not told them things I don't like about them. And I'm sure they haven't told me things that they haven't liked about me either. But because I don't want to hurt their feelings. And I think that's what we can. I think that's something that a lot of people worry about. It's not wanting to hurt people, our friends and the people we care about, not wanting to hurt their feelings. But we have to let that go, man, because by you doing that, it's just, you can ruin trust in a friendship. Yeah, you can ruin trust in a friendship by not sharing the full truth. And so that's what I'll end the video with. Share the ugly truth. Be courageous, and don't be scared to share the ugly truth. And say the things that no one wants to say. But also, don't be too focused on the ugly truth, and share the positive and beauty and the great things about people. And sharing the things that we like about people. Because, showing respect and encouragement and support towards other people, like saying, hey man, I support you going to the gym, I respect that. Like, doing that can make people feel better about themselves. Or just saying, hey, I like how you do this or do that. And it just, by doing that, or I think you're a hard worker, it can make people feel better about themselves, because they might even, who knows, they might doubt. Someone could be going to the gym and doubt their progress and doubt whether or not they're making a difference or whether it's working out for them. But someone who comes up to them and, encourages them and say, I respect you for doing that, it can motivate them to keep going and just lift up their ego and just make them feel better about themselves. And so this is all about self-love and spreading love. And so, yeah, that's it.